Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a bit of a change for me as I will be presenting a compilation of what I think are some very good uses of music in movies. I won't be focusing on original film scores, but rather the use of songs from a historical or pop culture context. This is an incredibly subjective and not exhaustive list, so please bear in mind. And once again, potential spoilers are inbound, so in no particular order, here we go. We begin our list with the use of music from a film that I did not enjoy very much, but one where I thought the use of this song was impeccable. I'm talking about the use of Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin in the Great Gatsby's film adaptation. It plays as we are being introduced to the character of Jay Gatsby. The orchestra crescendos and fireworks appear. I am not really one for the hyperactive visual style of this film, but the use of soundtrack here just works so well. The reason why the music's use may seem so fitting and familiar is because other movies have made reference to this song in the setting of New York City as well, from Woody Allen's Manhattan to the New York sequence in Fantasia 2000. The color blue is a motif in F. Scott Fitzgerald's novel, and can also be found in the term blue blood, which is representative of old wealth, which Gatsby's wealth is clearly not. The Great Gatsby explores the themes of the incompatibility of blue and red blood, and how the American dream is exclusive and elusive to many, like Gatsby himself, who tries to become a self-made millionaire bachelor. The piece is elegant and bold and very much fitting, and it ties in to the award-winning decoration of the film in all its stylishness and extravagance. Next up on the list of songs that had some impeccable use in movies is Gary Jules' rendition of Mad World from the indie film Donnie Darko. I just thought it was incredible how a song from the 1980s was chosen to fit the period in which the film is set, but not only that, I appreciated that the filmmakers used the stripped-down cover, featuring primarily piano and strings as the backing, instead of the synth-pop tones of Tears for Fears' original. It just added a gloomy feel that encapsulates the theme featured in the movie, which is of impending doom and powerlessness to go with it. The moodiness of this cover version resonates with the struggle of adolescence and that of our teenage protagonist, the titular character, Donnie Darko. His entire character arc in the film shows that it is indeed a mad world, both due to his own psychosis, but also the band of unsavory characters within his community. The line in particular that states, "The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I ever had," is eerily fitting to the events that transpire right before the song is played. Next up is a bit of an odd choice, but I want to mention a classical piece by Brahms dating back to the 19th century, the Violin Concerto in D major, as used in There Will Be Blood. Now this movie was a fantastic movie. At first I was hesitant to watch it and put it off for a while, because a nearly 3-hour-long drama about an oil tycoon didn't sound the most compelling of films. But in the end, I was super glad to be wrong, because the performances were amazing, and the set decoration was also amazing. And not only that, the film's score was also incredible. It was actually ruled ineligible at the Academy Awards because its source material was songs that were already in existence and therefore technically not original. But one of the lasting impressions that I carried as I watched this film was the cinematic and climactic use of this violin concerto at the end of the film, right after the climax where Daniel Plainview goes ballistic and schools Eli Sunday. The use of the concerto here is very jarring. The piece sounds joyful and triumphant, but it also remains macabre and eerie. It's also important to realize that this triumph here, as portrayed in the theme, is not one of good, but of evil. The movie is a very cold and cynical look at the power that the strong exercise over the weak-willed. As a result, the conclusion of the film is not very appealing to some. While Daniel Plainview is vile and rotten to his core, it really shows how deep of a villain he really is. The reason why I feel the piece works so well is because it is an exercise in juxtaposition. Something that originally sounds so joyful in a different context has been contrasted with a scene of violence, the titular blood, so to speak. Next up in our list is the use of Bohemian Rhapsody in Wayne's World. Now, this song had apparently begun to fade into obscurity before the use in this context, because understandably radio stations are hesitant to play a 6-minute rock opera on the airwaves despite being from one of the best-known bands of all time, Queen. In this film, the piece just fits perfectly. It's operatic, eccentric, and quirky, and not at all straight-laced. and then it rocks out in the third movement for some incredible headbanging by Wayne, Garth, and company. I just found it so funny how the piece demonstrated Wayne and Garth's reverence of rock music, but also how the piece itself sums up the film. It's strangely and unexpectedly good, despite its quirky manner and style that might perhaps be too much for some. And strangely enough, this echoes the sentiments that the critics had for Bohemian Rhapsody upon its first release. The unusual placement of this song in the film is really quite something because Wayne and Garth are kind of metalheads that listen to a different subtype of rock. I find that several such uses of songs as an element of surprise has also been made in future films following after the vein of Wayne's World. One moment in particular comes to mind in Tommy Boy, where Chris Farley and David Spade rock out to Superstar by the Carpenters, despite expressing their phony disdain for the song just a few moments prior. One other use of music that I'd like to discuss is that of Quentin Tarantino's films. Now, his music choices are incredibly eclectic and diverse, and oftentimes used in the most sardonic way possible. There's so many outstanding choices that I could pick from, whether it's the hypnotic son of a preacher man in Pulp Fiction, the comically violent use of Stuck in the Middle with You in Reservoir Dogs, or fittingly retro California Dreaming in the recent Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The list is quite a long one, but I just really appreciated the use of the Green Hornet theme by Al Hirt in Kill Bill Volume 1, and that's why I wanted to talk about this one today. Now, the song plays as the bride is zooming down the streets of Tokyo on a motorcycle, dressed in garb that is reminiscent of Bruce Lee's jumpsuit in The Game of Death. The theme in particular contains an interpolation of Flight of the Bumblebee, and fittingly being the theme of the Green Hornet, and oddly enough, the bride is also donning black and yellow. Bumblebees, black and yellow? Coincidence? I think not. The villainous henchmen of Oren Ishii, the Crazy 88s, don black masks that are reminiscent of Kato's, who was portrayed by, you guessed it, Bruce Lee, in none other than the TV show from the 60s, The Green Hornet. I understand that the entire repertoire of Tarantino is built on homage and references to popular culture, but I still found that something so cool had just happened when this theme played. I found it very incredible that such minutiae can be further connected to something larger. Granted, I wanted to talk about a lot of other uses of songs in films. If you want to see more videos like these in the future, please be sure to comment below, and remember to hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching.